So the Yoga Sutras is known as Raja Yoga. Raja means royal. It's the royal path of meditation. And Raja Yoga is also known as Ashtanga Yoga, which means the Eightfold Path. Not to be confused with the style of Hatha Yoga that was brought to the West by Pattabhi Jois that a lot of people know as Ashtanga Yoga. I'm not referring to that aspect of Hatha Yoga. I'm referring to the ancient Ashtanga Yoga, meaning the 8-limb path. And what I'm going to do today is go over what are those 8 limbs and the essence of what they are and how we can apply it in our lives so that we can have the direct experience of self-realization. Okay? Good. The very first one is called Yama, and the second one is called Niyama. Yama and Niyama are the restraints and the observances. There are 5 of each, and 5 and 5 make 10, and it's very similar to the 10 Commandments. And what those 10 are is ethical perfection. I'm going to go over each one of the yamas and niyamas, what they are, and those comprise the first 2 of the 8 limbs. Okay, so the very first one is called ahimsa. Ahimsa means non-injury. It means non-violence. It means to do our best not to cause injury in our thoughts, in our words, in our actions. This is why yogis and yoginis are vegetarians, and more importantly, vegans, because we don't want to cause pain to the animals, to the environment, to our own health, and to the global situation. So each one of us has the opportunity to practice ahimsa, non-violence, with every single bite we take. We can either make a choice for compassion, non-cruelty, non-violence, or for violence, cruelty, and devastation. With every single bite we take, we're voting which side we're going to be on. So this is to really understand when the rubber meets the road, how do we apply these ancient teachings to our everyday life and our everyday choices. Ahimsa, to do your best not to cause injury in your thoughts, in your words, in your actions. That means in your thoughts you want to think good, kind thoughts toward people rather than judgmental and critical. In your words, words can make or break. You want to do your best to speak the truth, but to speak the truth in as kind a way as possible. And in our actions, thinking, how can my life force energy through my actions make everybody else's life more wonderful? Sometimes I ask myself that question mentally towards someone else. How could I make their life more wonderful? And that is a way of practicing ahimsa. So one side of it is non-injury, but if we put that in terms of the positive, it would be how can I make a positive contribution towards rather than causing harm, which is one of the ancient yogic principles given in the Yoga Sutras, which is called Pratipaksha Bhavana. Pratipaksha Bhavana means to replace the negative with the positive. So whenever you find yourself having a negative thought, you can just say cancel and replace it with the opposite positive. So, and we can do that with our words too. For example, instead of saying don't forget, you could say please remember. Instead of saying don't fall, you could say please be mindful. Instead of saying I'm dead tired, you could say it will feel great to get a good night's rest tonight. Can we see how we can use our thoughts, our words, our actions, just with very simple consciousness, bringing it into energetically a better feeling place. Because the goal of all goals is to feel good. And that's what the Yoga Sutras is, the science of how to feel good. The science of how to be peaceful. And these are the time-tested methods. If we apply them, we feel better and better and better. And when we violate or ignore them, we feel worse and worse and worse. So whenever I'm having a hard day, I can actually just run through my mind the yamas and niyamas and see which one am I not observing right now to help myself get back on track. And this is a great way that you can use them in your everyday life, and I use them that way, and it's wonderful. Okay, there just like guidelines for peaceful living. The second one is satya. Satya means truthfulness. So we all know it's good not to tell lies, but there's a lot of different levels of truthfulness. You could be true to your true nature, which is peaceful. You can be true to your own rhythm. You could be true to your highest self. So there's so many different layers of truthfulness that go beyond just telling a lie or a white lie. I think the highest level of truthfulness is to renounce our false identification with being the mind and body and aligning with the truth of our own true nature, which is peace and love. How about that for satya, truthfulness? Okay. Then the next one is asteya, which means non-stealing. So it means not to take things that are not given to you. Well, we all know you don't go into a store and steal, but they're stealing on other levels. Sometimes we steal energy, we steal time, we steal someone's reputation by gossiping. We can steal with small things without even realizing it. We might, like for example, this is one example I like to give. When I was working at the Grand Wailea Resort for so many years, we had a sign-in sheet at the desk, and people would sign in our waiver to take yoga. And I would always have to go to the front desk and say our pen disappeared. So what happened to the pen? The pen did not dematerialize into light. Someone, consciously or unconsciously, was taking the pen. So it might even be in a small way like that that we're not even aware of. But that happens so repeatedly of just how people are unconscious about taking things that aren't theirs, right? Okay, so asteya. Then the next one after asteya is, brahmacharya. I forgot that one. The order doesn't actually matter because they all blend together. In fact, Gurudev even said, if you practice one of them, you'll have them all, because contained in each one of them is all of them, and we can talk about that more later. So the order doesn't matter. What matters is the implementation of them. So brahmacharya means middle path. It means continence or moderation. In the Sanskrit language, sometimes there's different meanings for the same word. Brahmacharya also means celibacy, but we're not using it in this context. It also means a certain stage of life. When someone's a brahmachari is like when you're in the student stage of their life. The way that we're using it now is moderation, middle path, continence. So that means not to overdo, not to underdo, not to eat too much, not to eat not at all, not to talk all the time, not to always observe silence, not to overeat, not to fast, but to find that middle path. And all the great teachers said the golden mean. Why? Because when we observe the middle path, we can be in what's called the sattvic guna. So in the yoga way of thinking, there are three different gunas, or elements of nature. There's rajasic, which is the hyperactive. There's tamasic, which is the lethargic, heavy. And then there is sattvic, which is the tranquil, neutral, yogic, alert, balanced state. And all our yoga practices are intended to bring us into that sattvic state of being, because it says in the Yoga Sutras that it's only through the sattvic guna that we can attain enlightenment. So all the practices and lifestyle habits are attained to bringing that into center so that we can access the ever-present peace within. Okay. Then the next one, just putting these in the order, it's ahimsa, satya, brahmacharya, asteya, and the last one is aparigraha, which means, again, it has different interpretations. One of them means not giving or accepting gifts with strings attached that would compromise your integrity. It also is translated as non-hoard, non-greed, and non-attachment. So that's kind of a wide spectrum, but you'll see in different commentaries of the Yoga Sutras that word has kind of a widespread spectrum of interpretations, but the essence of all of them is the same. Okay, the next one, and that one is very, very helpful, non-attachment, because a lot of times if I see I'm starting to get caught up in something, I just remind myself, let go, let God, non-attachment, release, let go, and that can help you to be a key to come back to your peaceful center. Okay, and each one of these I could really go into detail, but in the interest of time, I'm just going to give you a little nutshell version of each one. So those are the yamas, or the restraints. And next is the niyamas, which are the observances. The first one is saucha, which means purity. It means purity of thought, purity of word, purity of actions, purity of intention. And so what does purity mean? To me it means just having a benevolent intention, to be a beneficial presence in life. And when you have that intention to have pure thoughts, pure words, pure action, pure diet, pure clothing, just purity in all aspects of being. Next is santosha, which means contentment. And I love this one. One of my favorite quotes is contentment. The rich are poor without it, and the poor are rich with it. So one thing I realized in my life, it's not what you have, it's what you appreciate that counts. When I lived in Santa Barbara for 12 years preceding Maui, I was the personal trainer for all the multi-trillionaires. My job was going from one mansion to the next, to the next, to the next. And I know God really wanted to teach me something through that scenario. And my brother used to joke and say, Mother Teresa was born to serve the poorest of the poor, and Meenakshi Angel was born to teach the richest of the rich. Because all my clients were these multi-trillionaires, and then I worked at the Grand Wailea for 17 years. It was also very high-end clientele. So from that, I learned really a lot, and probably God wanted to din that lesson into my mind, why He gave me so many years of experience to pick up that lesson. And in that, I learned a huge lesson about contentment. One of my clients in Montecito had this huge gardenia bush, and it was just filled with gardenias. And at that time in Santa Barbara, I loved the fragrance of gardenias. I used to go to Gervasoni's, the floral shop there, and in the wintertime, I would buy one gardenia that cost $8 or $10 just for one. And I would take that one and I would like breathe it in, and I'd want to have it right by my bed, so every night I'd breathe in every single fragrance of it. And then if I'd go into the room, I would take it into the next room with me. I didn't want to have a breath without it. When I went from room to room, I went to the bathroom, I took it in with there. If I put it by my bed when I went to sleep. In fact, I put it in a little vial so it could be on the pillow next to me and would like waft into my the aroma while I was sleeping. And so I appreciated that one gardenia so much. And then I was serving one of my multi-trillionaire clients who had a whole bush of gardenias, and we were walking right by the bush to go to where we were going to the cabana to do her private yoga session, and she didn't even stop to look or to breathe. And I stopped to breathe it in. She said, come on, let's go, let's get our class going. She didn't even want me to like stop to breathe in the gardenias. So what I learned from that, it was such a like eye-opening, heart-opening experience, is I was like more in bliss with my one gardenia than she was with her whole bush of gardenias. And what I saw from that, it really is not what you have, it's what you appreciate. How important contentment is. And that is what true abundance is. Abundance is not something to attain, but something to tune into. And that's contentment. Okay.